Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke, so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandee. I'm still getting used to doing this whole live stream thing, so start yelling at me in the comments if you can't actually hear me, but I do see some people singing along with my awesome theme song. I still even get a little bit nervous doing these. I don't know why. I'm good at just talking about things. Anyway, so today we have on my show Jeff Wiggins. Somebody who I met through my work with Rebel HQ, and I'd like to say he's a friend. I'm autistic, so it's hard for me to tell sometimes, but we've been talking behind the scenes, and I'd like to think of him as a friend. And one of the reasons why I'm bringing him on is one of the missions on my channel is to get more cross-border solidarity on the left. As I say, the American people look at Canadian people and say, we want that. Meanwhile, Canadian government looks at what the American government says and says, we want that. Or the American government looks at, let me get this straight in my head. It's still a little, wow, this is live. I can't cut that out right now. So American people look at the Canadian people and say, we want that, while the Canadian government looks at the American government, what they get away with, and say, we want that. And right now, the Canadian government is winning that dynamic. Now, one of the reasons why I feel like there is a much higher need for cross-border solidarity is the right does a really good job of it. Quite often, when it comes to American lefty shows that I watch, they usually brush aside Canadian issues and Canadian politics like it's no big deal. That does not happen on the right. On the right, they take it very seriously and they build coalitions and everything of that sort. So that's part of the reason why they have such strong networks. That's part of the reason why they're more organized. That's part of the reason why, they have the same talking points and they get unified, is because they're willing to work across borders. You look at any major right-wing protests and rallies, there's money flowing into them from both sides of the border every time that happens. When you see right-wing rallies up here, you see Trump 2024 flags and Confederate flags and all that sort of stuff, because Americans will come up here and Canadians will go down there to join these hate rallies. So, very important that we start doing the same kind of building coalition cross-border solidarity on the left. With that said, without further delay, I bring to you my friend Jeff. So just a second. I'm going to have to switch screens again and then switch back. You can help me out with that by helping me get enough money for a StreamYard subscription so I don't have to do it this way. Also, right, I should have said this before I said that I was going to bring Jeff in. Anyway, you can support my channel by becoming a patron. Also, I'm only about $300 away from covering Frodo's vet bill. So if you can, please help out with that. Links are in the description box below. There's links to my other content and all that sort of stuff in the description box below. Every little bit helps, and I truly appreciate everyone who has donated towards Frodo's vet bill, helped out by getting me something off the Amazon wish list. Just become a patron any way whatsoever. I really appreciate it because I really would not be here without you. Okay, now without other further delay, I bring to you Jeff Wiggins. It worked. Okay, I did studio mode to make sure that this was framed properly first. I'm getting good at this whole live streaming thing. I'm like almost a professional now.
I mean, you put most of the time and budget into the theme song, so I get it. It's all good. You got the best one in the business.
Yeah. And it's been around since, it's the only thing on my channel that has not changed since the beginning.
Good. Good.
So, how are you doing, Jeff?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Still getting used to this whole live streaming things, realizing that I can't cut out when I stumble over words and stuff, because people who watch my videos probably think that I'm very good at speaking and flowing and all this sort of stuff. They don't realize that for everything they see on screen, there's about 5 different takes that I pick the best of. So, for the people in my audience who might not be familiar with you, why don't you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Jeff Wiggins. I was born and raised in Columbus. I am currently a digital content creator with Rebel HQ, a part of the TYT network, but that will be coming to a close very, very soon. I also have a YouTube channel called We Gonna Be All Right.
Yeah, as I was mentioning during the little intro, that's kind of how I connected with you, was through Rebel HQ.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Absolutely.
I was starting off and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I wasn't getting the help from my producers that I thought I would. And so I started reaching out to some of the other content creators on Rebel HQ, and you were kind enough to actually get back to me, and we've had some chats, and you helped me out a lot during that time there.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was, if there was any way I could help, I was willing to do that, because I always felt then, as I do now, great creators lifts up everybody else. Like, it's good to be a part of something when there's dope people around you. So if somebody comes in because Sandee's there and they see me, that's great. If someone comes in and sees Jeff, comes in to see Jeff and Sandee's there, that's also good. So it's one of those things where, like, yeah, I will be more than willing to help anybody else, because it's one of those, was it something tide raises all ships or something like that?
A rising tide raises all ships?
Sure, whatever. I should have thought of that beforehand. I'm not really good with idioms and figures of speech, but
well, tsunamis do the same thing, but they're a little bit more destructive.
Yes, I felt like, okay, if we can, if we can get an audience in from your neck of the woods, and then that would help us all. So that's where we are. So I'm still willing to help if at all possible. So absolutely.
Okay, well. Also, as I was mentioning during my intro, I like to build some cross-border solidarity on the left, because I feel like there's a lack of it. So part of the initiation of this, when I talk to my American friends online, is the Pop Canadian quiz.
Oh.
You should have been expecting this.
Yeah, I should have. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Do you know what a toque is?
I don't.
Don't?
I don't.
Toque? It's a beanie.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking a hat or a cigar or like some mode of transportation. Those were the 3 things I was thinking. I don't know why. Let me more specifically, as far as the mode of transportation, I'm like, is it kind of like a canoe or like?
I've heard, I think when I popped that one on Sam too, he thought it was like maybe some sort of toboggan. So I don't know if there's like some sort of association going on with movement and toque with you guys, but
Yeah, those were the 3 things I thought. I was like, okay, is it a hat or some canoe type thing, or?
It wasn't actually until I started seeing a lot of leftist coverage of Tim Pool that I actually realized you guys didn't call it a toque.
Yeah,
you kept referring to his beanie, and I'm like, what are they?
No, yeah, I was like, I don't know what that means. But okay, all right. So I'm down on that one. It's all good. What else we got?
Got a toque. Do you know the capital of Canada?
Is it Winnipeg?
Close.
It's not Montreal, is it?
Close. Those are both capitals of provinces. So you know at least the name of 2 other Canadian cities. That's good.
Yeah, I can tell you a few names of cities. I thought it's not Vancouver.
Again, another capital, but not of the country.
I don't know.
Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So, Canada is known for, well, we have two official sports, a summer sport and kind of like a winter sport. And I'm pretty sure you would know what the winter sport is.
So I would take it that the hockey is the winter
Yeah.
sport.
Do you know what the other sport is?
The summer sport, is it? No, that would just be generalizing too much. Summer sport.
Seeing if anybody in the chat can get this one. Reality is, it's not actually popular in Canada. I don't know anyone who's actually played it. There's no leagues that I know of, but I think it was just to make, Quebec feel more included.
So I was okay. One of the thoughts I had was handball, but that's not necessarily a summer sport because you can play it indoors.
Yeah, I see somebody got it. Hey, don't go cheat.
I'm gonna look.
Don't cheat.
I'm gonna look.
Although, I think you kind of spelled it wrong, but I'm a horrible speller.
Is it lacrosse?
Yes.
It is. Oh man.
But that's French, so it's lacrosse. So there's actually, I think there should be a space between la and cross.
Oh yeah, we don't respect that here.
Yeah, no.
You know what? Yeah, I thought my first guess was field hockey, but I'm like, that's just generalizing too much. Why would I think winter is ice hockey and summer is field hockey? But
from the looks of it, lacrosse is actually very hockey-ish. Like, I don't know. I've never played it. Like I said, it's one of those things that Canada likes to, it's almost like they're trying to force a culture on us. And so they make things into Canada, and this is part of Canada, when in actuality it's not embraced by a large part of the population.
So wait. If you had a national team as far as lacrosse, is the national team good?
I don't even know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like I said, I don't know anyone who's played it. I don't know the leagues. I don't know, like, I don't recall ever seeing it on TV, and yet here it is. But that, again, is kind of like Canada doesn't have much of a culture that they can be proud of. Let's put it that way. We have a culture, not a very good one. So they try to throw in these things to kind of like, this is Canada. Like they overemphasize Tim Hortons, even though, and they actually make that part of our culture, even though Tim Hortons is actually not even owned by Canadian companies anymore.
Yeah, so I've been to Canada twice in the last year and a half, and my kids have made it very clear that they wanted to go to Tim Hortons in Canada. Yeah. And like, we live literally like 2 blocks away from a Tim Hortons. And like, if you like, it's right there. We have one right there, but like, no, we're in Canada. We need to get Tim Hortons. So,
well, when I talk to newcomers to Canada, especially like refugees and stuff like that, they're not joking when they say some of their first words are hello, Tim Hortons, and double double.
Double double?
Yeah, that's another Canadianism that is directly related to Tim Hortons.
Well, so in America, a double double would be a basketball reference where you got like 10 points, 10 rebounds, or something like that. No? A double double. Is that like
directly related to Tim Hortons?
So is it related to coffee?
Yes.
Okay. I don't drink coffee. So, like, is it like a double espresso with like double something else? No?
Simpler. Double cream, double sugar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Last well, no, I have a couple more Canadian questions to put you
I'm not doing good. But we'll keep going, though.
Do you know what? It's kind of like bonus answers. You got at least like 4 or 5 Canadian cities, which is more than I can say of a lot of Americans I talk to.
Oh, yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Okay, how many inches are in a centimeter?
I'm assuming... Wait, say that again.
How many inches are in a centimeter?
I mean, 1, right? No?
I see Bad Lefty has caught on to the joke.
Because, like, okay, so a centimeter is smaller than an inch, correct?
Yes, that's the joke.
Okay, so I was thinking, like, so... Wait, now I've confused myself. Are there 10 centimeters in an inch?
No.
Okay. 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 Hmm. You know what? You
So,
can.
yeah, it's the other way around. It would be how many centimeters are in an inch. And Bad Lefty has 2.4, but I believe it's 2.2, if I'm not mistaken. 2.2 centimeters per inch. Um,
You know what? Y'all can have. I mean, well, look, we need the metric system and better healthcare, but
it is so much easier. I don't know why. But the reason why most Canadians will know the difference, like we know what an inch is, we know what a centimeter is despite how much more convenient centimeters is, we still do certain measurements in imperial. So, like height.
why?
Because we weren't always metric.
When did Canada convert to metric?
How dare you ask me a Canadian question on my show that I don't know the answer to?
Ah! Ooh! That's for that last centimeter inch question. Ha!
I'm not sure, but I don't think it was within my lifetime. So,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
so, but certain measurements just kind of stuck. Like when you weigh a person, we will go by, pounds, inches when it comes to height and things of that sort. Uh, so somebody is still trying. Okay, they're trying to say it in the chat, but I don't know. Yeah, so when it comes to certain things, like we know what a foot is, we'll generally say, like, oh, it's 25 feet versus what the meter length of something is. Unless we're driving, and then it's in meters, and that makes a lot more sense.
I got to tell you, when we went to Toronto in April, and when we got into Canada, and I had to switch to kilometers, I felt like I was flying down the street because I kept having to tell myself, like, nope, 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 that's miles per hour. You got to like physically switch it, like switch it over, or you're going to get pulled over here by hopefully some nice cops. But it was all good. It was good. We're good.
Actually, when I went to the States, when I went to see the Majority Report Boston live show, my car came in handy because my car is actually American. So it's an old car. It's like a 98. So it has like just the plain old panel and stuff like that. And so the small itty bitty numbers are kilometers.
Yeah.
But the large numbers the main numbers are actually American because it's an American dashboard on my car. So that was like the first time that I could actually like use it properly was when I went there.
No, so I can tell you right now, the little numbers are kilometers. I know that. Mm-hmm. You know that. I'm saying it now. If I went to Canada right now, as soon as I cross the border, my brain would go, wait. How fast am I going? What is it?
Yeah, it's usually 100 kilometers an hour, which is 60 miles per hour is usually the roughly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I noticed, Canadians speed more, at least in my experience. We speed more. It's not so much that we speed more as in both Canadians and Americans will drive the same speed on the highway on average. But since the Canadian maximum speed is actually a little bit lower, because 100 kilometers is a little bit lower than 60 miles, then we're actually speeding more than you guys.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I like your conversion rate over here. This is pretty good. I'm learning something. See, that's what hanging out with Sandee, you get to learn new stuff, and that's dope.
Yeah. Okay. I'll torture you with one last Canadian question for now.
I'm ready.
Can you name any prime minister?
Like, other than Trudeau?
Yeah. Trudeau's a bit easy because he's in office now, and there's been a lot of talk about him.
Yeah, there's always I cannot name another. Give me one. Give me who would I know?
Well, Stephen Harper was the one before him.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, well, he's a horrible person. Well, he was conservative.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't really matter. It's not like Justin Trudeau is fantastic.
About to say, the few things I know about him, it's not like he's one of those people who pretends to be left, but really he's like a wannabe moderate centrist. Yeah.
Well, an easy way to remember another prime minister is Justin Trudeau's dad was prime minister.
That's right. Oh, I knew that. Dang it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's one of those things like Americans probably know a little bit more, but you have to jog their memory. It's kind of like if you were to tell me to name 100 American cities. I probably could, but it's not like I'd be able to, like, right on the spot.
Yeah. Or like you'd be up randomly at 3 o'clock in the morning and you go, oh, Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Like,
yeah,
it is so I understand sometimes when I put Americans on the spot, it's like they probably know it if they had their memory jogged. Just like I probably know the names of more American cities than I do Canadian cities, but that's just a volume thing. There's far more cities in America than in Canada.
Yeah, so in Canada, since there's such a big, I guess, land grab, your cities are few and far between, right? A lot of rural areas.
It's more the population density. Like, the population in Canada is very low considering how much land is in Canada.
Right.
And so, like, some ridiculous number, like 90% or 80% of the population of Canada lives within 100 kilometers of the American border.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of, like, small rural communities scattered all over the place.
So are you in Ontario?
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, we just hit like 40 million not too long ago as a population
Ontario.
across the country.
I'm sorry, Ontario is huge.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that big.
No, it's big. That's why when we have our maps around elections, it will look ridiculous when it comes to the different colors of the political parties. Because one riding can be the size of like 5 different states.
Yeah.
Because our ridings are fixed to a certain number of people are within a riding, and that's how they're broken up.
Okay.
And so that gets adjusted every now and then when Canada does a census. So, you know, in Toronto, there's like a whole bunch of different ridings. But then as soon as you go further north in Ontario, you have like these massive areas that are just one riding because that's the size of like the entire, 100,000 people are in it or something like that. It has to be that much. And what's really funny is PEI. Do you know what PEI is?
I do not. But I'm going to start Googling some stuff in a second.
Prince Edward Island. It's our tiny little island of a province.
Okay.
And so whenever you see polls done across Canada, they never include PEI because the population there is so low they can't get a decent sample size.
Oh, geez. So are they like effectively excluded then?
From a lot of polling, yeah.
Man.
Because I think there's only like 100,000 people in the province.
Okay. I gotta get out more, man. Yeah, one of these days we're gonna do the Portland, Seattle, Vancouver type of thing. But now I'm looking at a map, I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of places I want to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've actually never been to the East Coast. I've been to the West Coast accidentally. Yeah, I accidentally drove into BC. When I was doing a road trip across the country, I was up in the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, and my friend and I saw, there's this signage for this nice little spring to go and check out. So we did that, but we didn't realize it was actually in BC. So we drove into BC and we're like, hey, we're here.
All right. And how was that?
It was really nice. Oh my God, I love the Rockies. Like, I love the mountains. They were so beautiful.
In a general sense, I don't mess with mountains, but I can, I'm getting a little older, so I'm going to have to branch out a little bit.
Well, it's one of the things, like, they're very beautiful, and there's some areas, like, I went up to Johnson's Canyon for camping and stuff like that, just gorgeous. But the amount of anxiety I got driving through the Rockies because of how steep all the hills are and stuff like that, and then you see the runway off ramps, like for people who brakes fail, you go into these things, it's just like, and then you're looking up because there's like a sheer cliff beside you, and it's like, is there a boulder about to drop on me? Like, it's just, yeah, a lot of anxiety driving through it.
And so I don't need that that level of anxiety in my mouth. So I mean, in my life, so I avoid it. I don't even, nope. But I gotta, cause like my family, they enjoy the beach, and I don't like the beach. I can't stand the beach, so I have to like do something with my life. But that's why I visited Toronto, because I really enjoy like cities. Like, give me some big urban sprawl where I get to like look at buildings and mean people. So
Well, I loved living in Toronto. I was there for a few years, and it's just one of the reasons why I love that city so much is that any given weekend there's a cultural festival going on
yeah,
because
yeah,
it is so multicultural in that city. And you go to like different areas of the city, and it's like you are traveling to different parts of the world, because like even the restaurants, the signage will all be in other languages depending on where they're from and stuff like that. And they tend to retain a lot of their culture within these little pockets in the city and stuff,
right.
which just makes it so much nicer to like go around, and then suddenly you just look around and you see all this stuff around you that is like, I never saw this in my home city.
So my wife was born in Paraguay, and the the American Thanksgiving of 2019, she actually went back for the first time. She was adopted before she was 1 year old, and so she went back, but she had a layover in Toronto. And while she was there, she told me like, you're gonna love this place, because I love like Chicago and Atlanta and stuff like that. So um, then COVID hit the next spring, and so we didn't do a lot. But then yeah, our first opportunity to go to Toronto, we took that, and yeah, I definitely loved how multicultural it was. But I remember telling my kids like, hey, this place is very brown, but it's not very black. I didn't see a lot of black people there that weren't tourists like us. So that caught me off guard. But other than that, it was very multicultural. I remember seeing menus and everything else in English and French. And we went to a couple places where there was stuff in English and French, and I believe Arabic.
Uh,
I like,
English and French for a lot of things is mandatory.
yeah, yeah. Someone said that to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool. But also, I remember saying when we left, like I would definitely feel a bigger need to learn another language, because we couldn't get a block or two away without talking to somebody who spoke some form of broken English, because it was their second or third language, which they shouldn't have to accommodate me. I should hopefully be able to accommodate them. I'm in your space, so
Yeah.
I loved Toronto. I thought it was a dope place. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. When I was living there, there were some areas that were very, the roots are from Africa type thing.
Yeah.
So it all depends on like what part of Toronto you go to. But Toronto was also the only city where it's like the second question after what's your name, like, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? Where are you from? And that's not an insult. It is from genuine curiosity.
Yeah. So I think back when I used to tweet stuff, I told the story about we were taking a Lyft or an Uber somewhere, and the driver was like, "Yeah, I could tell you were American." And I'm like, "How? What is it? What is it about me that that like? I mean, other than the fact that I'm carrying this AK-47, other than that, what is it about me that lets you know that I'm American?" But like, I didn't ask. I just wondered. And so it was something we all talked about after we got out of the car. Like, hey, like, I wonder what that meant. I don't think he meant anything negative about it, but like maybe it was, I don't know, the clothes I was wearing, the way I was wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people say stuff like Americans lean on walls and stuff like that. And I've heard a lot of stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, well, could have been anything.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either, but I probably would have marked you for American too.
Yeah.
Like it could just
Yeah.
be the accent, maybe.
Maybe.
The fact that you don't know what a toque is.
That's a thing. Yeah.
The
And
fact
you
that
know what? And it
you
was,
weren't holding a double, like that's always a dead giveaway.
That's true. That's true, because I don't drink coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so okay, so when I go there next time, um, I'm gonna hold coffee for my wife, not for me, and I'm gonna wear a toboggan, but I'm not gonna call it that. I'm not gonna call it that around the peoples. I'm gonna call it a toque and keep it moving. And yeah, and then
Wait, do you know what a toboggan is?
here's a hat with the thing on top.
Um, I thought you guys called them toboggans too. Because now I'm having some very strange visuals in my head. And I see Letterhack has entered the stream, so I want a picture of this afterwards.
What?
Toboggans are the things that we go on to slide down hills in the winter.
I mean, yeah, like a sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thought of you wearing a toboggan just seems kind of.
But here it's a hat. It's a hat with a little. It's got to have a puff on the top.
No, that's a toque.
No, it's a toboggan. Look, I got it right here. Where you at? Where you at? Oh. Yeah.
I've never heard of them be referred to as a toboggan. Never.
It's a toboggan. Yeah, it's a toboggan.
No.
I don't know why it's both a sled and a hat. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's a toboggan. I know what it is. Where's my I got,
Maybe they're not showing you the full picture where there's a toboggan down on the snow.
My Ohio State toboggan is right over there. I had it on last night.
Yeah, I've never heard of a hat or a toque being referred to as a toboggan. Never.
Toboggan. It's a toboggan. But going back to that person who just could tell I was American. I know here in America, me being from Columbus, we don't have like a regional diction. So I don't really have, I'm sure other places I have like an accent, but America, I technically don't have an accent. So yeah, the entire thing was weird for me because I'm like, yeah, maybe it is the way I talk, but even that, I don't know, but
yeah,
we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think visually if there'd be any cues other than, as you said, the AK-47. Yeah, the only time I've ever seen people walking around with guns were cops when I went to Ottawa for the 150 Canada Day celebration. And the officers walking around had long rifles with them, which is just so weird to see and so out of place because we're not used to seeing that around here.
Oh no, I see the police with guns a lot here, and variations of guns.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think about when I see regular officers, and I'm pretty sure they do carry guns, but it's so they just be smaller handguns type thing. I can't even visualize it on a cop here, even though I know they do because they shoot people all the time out of countries that are within our category. Yes, you guys blow us away with how many people are killed by police, but we're the second highest.
Yeah.
So I know they carry them, but it's not something that I think of when I see it, but then I also have a certain level of privilege when it comes to that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of think, I remember going to, this was inner city type stuff in Columbus, but being a teenager going to a party, and then there was always a fight that broke out at the party. And I remember vividly being on Livingston Avenue here in Columbus, and there being just a bunch of police and police cruisers. And I remember like it was yesterday, police officer went to the back seat, closed the door, cocked the shotgun in front of everybody. And I was like, got real, just got real. And I got on out of there. But it's nothing to us here. We always see it all the time.
Yeah, that's not even in high crime areas, that's not something we see a lot of. I know Toronto crime has gotten pretty bad in the last little while there. So I don't know, it could be different there, but in my city it's not. I'm not aware of a heavy police presence. Even at certain rallies and protests and stuff like that, there usually are some police officers around, but it's not like we're being swarmed with them or anything.
Yeah. I will say that, at the time when I had hopes and dreams of being a political commentator, and being able to do my job remotely from anywhere. I talked about like potentially, I was like, what if we moved to Toronto? And I think an hour, maybe 2 hours after I said that, we were pretty aware that there was a housing situation going on there that was similar to a lot of bigger cities in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And because I forgot the name of that castle in Toronto, but we were leaving that, and there were signs just north of that castle that talk about housing prices, but then there's a couple protesters that were talking about the lack of housing there. And the driver of the Uber got frustrated. He was like, hey, like, adding housing won't simply fix the problem. And in my mind, I'm like, wait, what now? And I couldn't really necessarily talk to him because I didn't know the dynamics of what was going on in Toronto. But I'm like, I mean, it would have to help a little bit, right? But he talked about like access to land and how much that land would cost and all the other stuff. And so I was like, okay, I mean, all right, you know better than me. But
yeah, when it comes to housing, that is actually something Canada is currently worse at than the States. Affordable housing, rental prices, the housing crisis in general is worse in Canada.
wow.
And somebody in the chat got the answer to your question, which I knew and I was about to ask. The castle, Casa Loma.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I know when I tweeted out that you'd be on the show, somebody was asking about like maybe comparing the housing crises in our countries. And it is something that I have tried to bring up before because a lot of Canadians like to sit up here all smug and say, well, at least we're not as bad as the States when it comes to
Right.
whatever. But it's like, no, actually in this one we're worse. It's just, we don't see like the same type of tent encampments and stuff like that. And that's just a population thing. Like we don't have as many people. So in the area that I live, there's a tent encampment that's been there for well over a year now. And it's basically housing prices has skyrocketed at a rate that is just so inconceivable compared to where wages are at a rate far, far faster than in the States or any other country almost. Like the cost of rent for a one bedroom, it feels like it's doubled in just like the past 10 years.
Was there like we're still in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
In the throes of the pandemic, though, probably the worst parts, was there a spike and then it came down a little bit, or are we still like?
No, in Ontario, we had a very bad timing of a provincial election with Doug Ford getting into power right before the pandemic hit, and he got rid of rent control. So on new buildings, so any building built after 2018, there's no rent control. So they can literally just shoot your rent up $1,000. If you move out of a unit, they can raise your rent. So you have a lot of landlords that do the renovictions where they say, oh, we have to do some renovations on your apartment so you can't be there, blah, blah, blah. So bye. And like technically speaking, the tenant should be allowed to go back in at their regular contract, maybe with just like a little bit of a markup. The problem is, where do they stay in the meantime? Because if they move anywhere else, they're usually trapped in a 1-year lease. And so when the apartment is available at the time, but they can't move into it, then their contract goes to crap. Like they don't get to keep it. So there's a lot of renovictions going on, and it's usually just the landlords painting the walls or something like that. Like it's an excuse.
Okay.
But the housing crisis is just the thought of owning a home. Like you guys in the States say, like younger generations just don't see it happening. And here it's, same thing, only worse. Because like to own a home, it's over $1 million for a house, pretty much anywhere.
Wow. Yeah, like I said, when we were there, we were there only a couple of days, and we knew, like, we can't. No, we can't move here. It's something similar going on.
Toronto isn't even the most expensive city. I believe it's Vancouver, but it's just like the rents are just so out of control, and yet, like I said, wages haven't kept up with it. For people like me who rely on Ontario disability payments, my entire check doesn't cover rent for a 1-bedroom apartment anywhere in this province. And so then a lot of people with disabilities end up unhoused. And the salt in the wound of that is, as soon as you end up unhoused, the housing allowance part of your check gets taken away.
Wow.
And it's only like $400 that they put towards it. And then to add more salt, let's put salt and pepper in that wound. The MPPs, so that's the ministers of provincial parliament, are representatives for the province. They get $2,300 for housing alone, on
Wow.
top of their salaries.
Wow.
Yeah. And yet people with disabilities we don't even get half of that
Wow.
for everything. So it is just, and then it's not just the cost of housing that's going up, it's the cost of everything. Like, our grocery prices have just been going out of control. And the other thing with the housing is that every year we lose hundreds of people, because in Canada there's no warm place to go during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So every winter hundreds of people die who are unhoused. And I've sat in my apartment when there's winter storms going on, knowing that there's a tent encampment not even a 15-minute drive from where I'm at.
Yeah.
And what they must be going through.
Right.
And then so many people, it's like, oh, well, they choose to be there. They're not working hard enough, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nobody is choosing to be in a tent encampment in this weather. Like, it is just the best of the horrible options.
Yeah. Jeez.
So, yeah, it is. It's about to collapse. It is a lot of foreign investors, like our government, like a lot of your government likes to put the blame on immigrants solely, that we're letting in so many immigrants and that's what's causing it to skyrocket. And it's like, it's not helping, but it's not the reason. And it's just the lack of building affordable units, like the lack of building new apartments that can actually be afforded by people, or houses that can be afforded by people, because all new developments are going up. The luxury rentals and stuff like that, nobody can afford to live there, but they're bought just for investments. So there's more than enough empty homes and apartments in this country to house everyone 6 times over. Like, yeah, everyone who's currently unhoused 6 times over. So it's not even a lack of available or a lack of room. It's a lack of available room because they purposely make it a tight, there's a word for it where the market is low on it, a tight market for it. And it's also changing zonings within cities and things of that sort to increase, so there's more high rises, because a lot of people point to pictures of Toronto where you see, like, near the downtown, there's these sprawling tall buildings and stuff, but if you just go out a little further, you see it's flat because of all the bungalow homes. So there's no building up in areas, there's no changing zones in areas and things of that sort. And so then you have people like Doug Ford, who will literally break the law and do corruption in order to sell off parts of the green belt, and he uses the excuse that is to help the housing crisis. And it's like, there's no way that the houses going up on that precious land would be affordable to somebody like me who desperately would need it, or to somebody who's currently unhoused. There's no way. It's all, again, like big houses that nobody can currently afford, and then you get the corporations coming in, buying up all this real estate to make them into rentals, so that, it's the same, a lot of the same problems. It's just, it's actually worse here in Canada.
Yeah, well, a lot of this sounds familiar, but I did want to ask, when you're talking about people immigrating to Canada, where are the people migrating from the most in order to become Canadian citizens?
There's tends to be different flows of traffic, depending on what's happening around the world. Like, one thing Justin Trudeau sort of followed through on was allowing a large number of Syrian refugees to come through when there was the war happening there. But now pretty much nobody from Syria can immigrate over. And there's more leniency to Ukrainian refugees and things of that sort. And it boils down to, when it's immigrants, it's actually, I believe it's more difficult to immigrate to Canada than it is to the United States. Just all the hoops and stuff that you have to jump through. So
Really?
basically, you have to have money and
Yeah.
professions and check off certain boxes and stuff like that. But then we bring in people who, have diplomas, who are doctors and things of that sort, and we desperately need more doctors and healthcare workers in this country, and yet their credentials aren't carried over. So we have a lot of taxi drivers who are doctors.
Yeah. My Lyft Uber driver was an aerospace engineer, I believe he said.
Like they have to have these high credentials and stuff like that in order to be able to immigrate over here, but then it's just totally not worth the paper that they're on once they're here because it's not a Canadian credential.
Right. Yeah. I think he said something like it wasn't worth it for him to pursue that any longer in Canada. And it was a very short drive, so I couldn't really get into it. But I was like, oh, I wonder what that's about. So I'm glad you just said that. That just, wow. Wow.
Yeah, because there's definitely a shortage of nurses and doctors and stuff here. And then what they do is they'll bring in, uh, oh, what's the name? Temporary workers, temporary foreign workers to come in and fill jobs and things of that sort, instead of, providing them for the people who already live here. And it is just, and that's only because they can abuse them more. And some of the conditions that they've been found to be living in for the jobs that they're doing, like especially in the summer where there's a lot of like fruit picking and things of that sort, a lot of work on farms, the conditions that these foreign workers are in are just horrendous.
Yeah.
And they're totally abused, and that's why a lot of these corporations like to keep that going, is so that they can keep on abusing it. It's the housing crisis, the abuse of workers, it's all part of the neoliberal capitalist decay that's happening right now.
Right.
Like, as I keep on wanting to tell people, the solutions are there. We know what they are. We know how to fix all these messes, but we don't have a government willing to do it.
It's awful. I'm
Yeah.
learning a lot. See, I'm glad you had me on. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah. So, something that I wanted to touch on,
Hmm.
another thing that we were about to kind of weave into, is the cost of food in Canada, the cost of groceries. And for all the Americans watching right now, because according to my analytics, I have far more American viewers than I do Canadian viewers, so howdy, eh? This weekend is actually Canadian Thanksgiving. And what's the difference between the Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving? Ours is in October. That's it, really.
Oh,
Yeah, that's really it's all for the same colonial celebration of decimating the indigenous peoples.
I was going to ask, and I may just duck, duck, go. I always say Google as a general sense, but the cost of a turkey in Canada compared to the U.S. right now, because I would imagine inflation is pretty high there as well.
It depends on who you're asking. I believe Pierre Poilievre, that is the leader of the Conservative Party, federal Conservative Party, tweeted out something saying like it's almost $150. Keep in mind that's Canadian dollars. That'd be 125 American or so. But he was also tweeting out the image of like a high-end turkey from a high-end grocery store type thing. So it depends on where you buy it. But inflation over last year is about 16% for a
Okay.
turkey.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to switch the screen to get some of the information on screen that I wanted to do. So again, everyone be patient with me while I switch screens here. I feel like I'm starting to get really good at this part now. Last time I messed it up so many different ways before I got it to the proper screen. So here again, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. Every month, the Daily Bread Toronto is seeing 12,000 new families sign up for assistance. It has never been more important to give generously if you are able. Thank you to the 200 volunteers who participated in the Daily Bread's Thanksgiving food sort in Etobicoke today. 12,000 new families sign up every month in the Toronto area alone. He doesn't see why this might be a problem. Like this is nothing to be bragging about. As far as I know, from what I hear, Americans don't have food banks the same way we do. Like, we don't have food stamps. So we're reliant completely on food banks that are run by different municipalities. And I've had to rely on food banks before. It's not great. It depends on the food bank. Some of them will require that you have to volunteer your hours in order to get food from them. The food selection is very poor. A lot of the food is very low quality. If you're diabetic, if you need gluten-free food and stuff like that, you're SOL when it comes to relying on the food bank for a lot of stuff. Or people who live in poverty who maybe just rent a room from a house or something like that, they don't have access to like a stove or maybe even a microwave. So they need like, or they might have a microwave, so they need like kind of pre-cooked meals in a way, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, but every year when it comes to Thanksgiving and Christmas, you'll see politicians like Doug Ford, even Justin Trudeau, showing off like, oh, here are these food banks and it's important for everyone to donate. And it's like, why don't you guys do something so we no longer have to rely on food banks?
Yeah, so what I was going to ask was, as you alluded to a few minutes ago, when Doug Ford here says 12,000 new families signed up for assistance, that's a sign that things aren't going well. Instead of boasting about the people who are helping, he's actually showing the decay of what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Old Lady Plays, for the $2. Only got a couple to drop, but hi, Sandee and Jeff. She's a huge fan of yours, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. She's a friend of mine. Yeah. Having to rely on food banks and him not cluing into the fact that this isn't something, again, to be advertising. Like, he doesn't realize the irony of this tweet, like how absolutely ridiculous it is that he would word it this way. It's like, I'm just going to state how dire the situation is, that we have so many people signing up for groceries. But we're going to think, because I want to at least be on Twitter thanking the volunteers, because again, people who work at food banks, they're not paying jobs. It's all, and that's why we run into problems. It's volunteers. So not only do you need people donating food, you need people willing to donate their hours and things of that sort, and more people need it, and less people can actually afford to donate to food banks. And yeah. So then, so we have Toronto's new mayor, Mayor Olivia Chow, and she was also at the same photo op as Doug Ford, because you actually see them in some of the same pictures together. I lent a hand at the Daily Bread TO this morning. The combination of low incomes and high rents is a recipe for hunger. I am committed to building more and preserving existing affordable housing. That's how we get to the root cause of poverty and food insecurity. So she at least touches on it, you know, like, here's the problem. And it's so interesting that you have this contrast of these two different political leaders that were there at the same time for a photo op, and just what they put out there. Like, it's just, I have issues with her. She was tweeting over the weekend about what's happening between Israel and Palestine, and it's just like, that was not good at all, to the point she actually deleted her tweet and put out an apology because it was so bad. But she's the first kind of more left-leaning progressive mayor for Toronto in, I don't even know how, like, it's been over a decade at least. So there's a lot of hopes that she would turn things around because previous mayors to Toronto have the tendency to be very buddy-buddy with the cops, even former cops or former police chiefs, and very pro-union, cop union, and things of that sort. And she seemed to be a little bit more, yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
I can, if you want to be mayor of Columbus, where I'm from, yeah, you're going to have to be buddy-buddy with the cops.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's a lot, like a lot of places.
Yeah, that's how it was pretty much. But I think things have just become so dire in this area that people were actually, it's like, no, because the cops in Toronto, especially like when it comes to encampments, what they do to the people is horrendous. And this is where you get that cross-border solidarity between right-leaning groups, is that there's been images of them wearing thin blue line solidarity badges with the United States. So it has like the maple leaf plus the American flag, and there's the thin blue line, which they're not supposed to be wearing. It is, yeah, the amount of trauma that the police have inflicted on unhoused people or people with disabilities, people who are protesting for leftist causes, is obscene. Like, these are the people that are supposed to be keeping us safe and helping, and yet they're just adding more trauma to the situation.
So I was like, that's it, because this is like a bigger question, but in my learning, where you don't have to educate me, by the way, but I was like, as far as like policies and laws, I was wondering what those looked like for the unhoused, because I would imagine if the police were going to harass the unhoused population there has to be some kind of, like, I'm not going to say like there's a policy that outright dictates that they can harass people, but sometimes, and you know this better than I do, policies are kind of like a gateway to be able to punish people for stuff that they can't necessarily do about all the time. So an unhoused person having their belongings out on the street or something like that could possibly be something that's an arrestable offense, or have your stuff confiscated. And I was just wondering, like, I wonder what the law is like in Canada, where a police officer would want to even engage with someone as if they did something wrong. Like, what the heck?
I actually have a video about that.
Oh, did I miss a video?
Let's see, videos. What did I title it? It's not the Cops Can Care one, although that's a hilarious video if anybody wants to go check that out.
All right.
Yeah, it's this one. America sucks at this. So does Canada, is the title of it, with a big thumbnail of me saying, "We care about our neighbors," spelt correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, I talk about some of the issues around housing that, or the policies that are trying to be implemented, where it's things like, no, you're not allowed to feed the homeless. We're trying to restrict camping rules, or you can't hand out things. And it's a lot of the same policies that Americans put forth are translating up here. Because again, our cops, our government will look away at what the states get away with and think, yeah, we want that, and try doing it here too. So there is a lot of issues around criminalizing unhoused people. Let's see, let's go to this one. And so I don't know if you saw this tweet going around. I present to you $200 of groceries in Ireland.
I did see this. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, I wonder if I can pull up my tweet quickly. One of my tweets that got the most engagement was I took a picture of a grocery cart of my groceries.
Yeah, and people were mean to you.
Yeah. Well, I expected it.
I remember that. I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, because they became very judgmental over what I was buying with it. Actually, I should just have the image of it somewhere. Da, 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 da. Why don't you talk about how absurd this, like, compare this, what you see on screen, to what Americans can get for $200 while I quickly look up my image.
I don't even know what some of this stuff is.
Well, the amount of honey they got kind of threw me through a loop, but I'm not being judgmental. It's like, okay, they're getting it for a reason, because I'm not going to be judgmental over that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was wondering what they actually use the honey for, because I want some of whatever they make with this shit, I guess. Um, so in my household, I got two boys who eat like me, and so I do most of the grocery shopping because I shouldn't have to put that on anyone else. And I'm trying to convert what I see on the table to what, like, I'm sitting at my table right now. Like, what would I buy with $200? And I was just at the grocery store the other day, depending on which grocery store I go to.
Oh, okay. I'm just, I think I found a way of getting to my tweet faster.
I'm just pausing because I was about to say, I know my table would have a lot more snacks for not only my kids, but my cat. So there's that.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So I can bring this over. I have to try to do this as seamlessly as possible because what you're seeing and what they're seeing isn't necessarily the same thing. So let's bring this over and share this tab instead. Yeah, so this was, I get anxiety attacks every time I have to go to, oh, sorry, bring my mic up. I get anxiety attacks every time I have to go grocery shopping. Why? Over $100 for this. Are you effing kidding me? When did eating become a luxury? And this was it. This is all I could get for just over $100. And people are like, oh, look at all that junk food, because yogurt and milk, really. Or, I have 12 packs of Diet Coke. Looking at this, it doesn't matter what, that should not be over $100.
Correct.
Like that, but plain simple, stop, go. That should not be over $100. And the reality is, people who live with poverty often have to turn to more junky food because that's the only thing we can afford.
That's what I was about to say. Like, the fresh food is not subsidized in a way that is sustainable for people with lower incomes. And so Diet Coke would be, or just even people, my word. What people are essentially saying without saying it is that you need to spend your money on stuff that you don't particularly enjoy. Like, set aside how many of the dollars are like, you know what? I worked really hard this week or the last 2 weeks or last month. I really enjoy Diet Coke, so I would want those. People would rather tell you to change your shopping habits in order to keep you away from joy. And that's weird, but I could tell by some of the responses that people didn't necessarily want to engage you in the fact that this is all you can get for $100. Yeah. And that is grossly different from what it was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, like the idea that if you live with poverty, you have to be grateful for what you get, or people are so judgmental, and it's like, I have a caffeine addiction. I drink a lot of Diet Coke and coffee. And you know what? It feels good when I drink it. I want something that tastes good because the rest of my life is usually pretty crappy. So eating food that you enjoy brings just, the tiniest bit of light to your life. And even then, it's not like these pizzas, frozen pizzas I got, they weren't good. They were just whatever. You're constantly having to sacrifice more and more and more just to get, we have to sacrifice more of what we do for less of what we can get. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, so we see the same thing here with food stamps and EBT, to where, like, if somebody were to be shopping and somebody happens to spot someone paying for lobster and shrimp with an EBT card, Americans get, like, really mad. Like, how dare you get, like, what's considered a luxury on, quote unquote, my tax dollars? And it's like, come on, like, they can't get something they enjoy or splurge, I guess. Like that's a weird concept.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, like the thing that gets me is when you see stories, it's like they were stealing food from a grocery store, and it's like, oh, but they were stealing like the high end steak or whatever. And it's like, so? If you're going to risk going to jail, might as well be for something good. Like, what? It's only okay if they steal, the meat that's marked, eat tonight, or else it's going to give you salmonella poisoning? Like,
I don't understand people's point of view sometimes. Like, yeah, steal the stuff that needs to be thrown away the next day.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like you're only allowed to steal the cheap stuff, but how dare you steal something that might actually be nutritious and tasty?
Yeah.
I don't understand that reason. Like, I don't understand how mad people get at the little choices we make instead of, focusing on the bigger issue.
Yeah, well, people can't. No.
Like, somebody
can't.
got so mad at me because, there's actually 4 cases of Diet Coke here. Somebody got so mad at me in these responses because I accidentally said the wrong amount for the Diet Coke. I was off by $2. And I corrected myself because they had the correct price and I did not. I was off by $2 and they got so mad at me. And it's like, first of all, that was an honest mistake. Second of all, you're again missing the point. That should not be $100.
Well, again, yeah, they're missing the point because then they would have to engage with the fact that like that's pretty messed up that we have to spend so much money on so little.
It's like, I have these granola bars here. Do you know what they turn into sometimes? A meal. Like, that's...
One thing I have to tell people is that, and especially with my channel, where I'm told all the time that I make everything about race and like, Jeff, you like, I'll say it here, and I have to say it on my channel from time to time. I think people should do all they can in order to avoid mishaps and mistakes and shortcomings and stuff like that. But that doesn't take away from the fact that a lot of issues in this country and in your country are very much systemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these things aren't coming down to personal responsibility or day-to-day decisions. Otherwise, it wouldn't just be you in this predicament. And even if it's like, well, a bunch of people are making a bunch of mistakes. No. Let's back up. Let's say, Sandee, you bought one 12-pack of Coke. How much better would that have made your life the next week or two?
Yeah.
Or made your grocery bill? Like, I don't think people want to engage honestly or in detail or with any modicum of nuance, and that drives me crazy.
Well,
like sometimes I hate my comment section because I'm like, nobody wants to actually talk about what I actually said. Mm-hmm. It's how it made them feel.
Yeah, like I have a video that I did a while back too about a news article that came out. I actually made this into a TikTok as well, where a news article came out about how to try to keep up with the high costs of groceries. And a lot of the suggestions were undoable for people who live with poverty. It's like, oh, you team up with other people and buy bulk or something ridiculous like that. But then the last suggestion that they had on that page was literally, you know what? Why don't you try intermittent fasting?
Wow.
Yeah. Just basically don't eat. We'll make it sound like it's a fad, like it's a choice, to just not eat. And we'll try to excuse it away with maybe some potential health benefits. But then you just got to make sure that the food you eat is, high nutritious. Is like, first of all, most of the people I know who live with poverty do intermittent fasting against their will. And the food that they can eat is sheer crap because it's cheap. Like, it blew my mind that this was in a newspaper. Like, just don't eat. You don't like the grocery prices, just don't eat.
So I guess by intermittent fasting, they mean like planned starvation? Is that what they mean?
Yeah.
Just call it that.
Choose to skip meals as opposed to you can't afford to eat.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I have a video on that one as well. But yeah, we got a news headline here. Most challenging Thanksgiving long weekend marked with soaring food bank use. So prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the organization saw about 65,000 clients visit per month. He's talking about the food bank. He said that number last month was 275,000, 100,000. It is just... What are we supposed to do when we can't afford to eat groceries and stuff?
I don't know.
And just to give a little bit of a comparison here as to how bad it is, we have this news article here. She buys all of her groceries across the U.S. border and finds big savings. So what you're going through isn't as bad as what we're going through if we can cross the border in order to get savings on our grocery prices.
So I might have to read this later. I wonder how much of a drive that is for her in terms of miles and minutes.
Like I said, the vast majority of this country lives within 100 kilometers of the border.
Are you one of those people?
Let's see. I think I'm just outside of it.
Okay. So that would be...
I think Buffalo is the closest to me, and that would be just over 100 kilometers.
Yeah, when we come from Columbus, we go through Buffalo, and yeah, that would be a little bit of a hike. Like I don't. The reason why I'm asking is because like the lift yourself up by your bootstraps, personal responsibility people would tell you to potentially go into that. But I'm just wondering, like, for this woman, because I haven't read the article, of course.
15-minute drive.
Okay, I was going to say, I wonder if the offset of gas. If that evens things out, or like even for someone like you, but like I don't think that much gas would even things or make things better for you.
Yeah, the article says even with the weak Canadian dollar and the gas she spends crossing the border twice a week, Dustin says she saves about $300 a month buying all of her food in the United States.
Wow. So inflation is worse there. Oh.
Yeah. And like, I see it when I go to the grocery store. Like, again, some of the cheaper, non-nutritious food that I get that I can make a meal out of, when the price goes up, it doesn't go up 25 cents, 50 cents anymore. It goes up by $2.
Yeah.
Like, it just jumps to $2. But it like... That's part of the problem, is that they're skyrocketing. There's always these excuses, like they wanted to blame the pandemic, but the pandemic didn't have that impact on it. Like, it didn't have that. And then there's nothing being done to rein this in because the federal government likes to say it's a provincial government problem. The provincial government likes to say it's a federal government problem. The reality is, provincially, federally, there's something both of them can do that they're not. When it comes to things like healthcare, inflation, housing, there are things that both of them can do to make life easier for people. I'm just going to switch back to the main screen. Just a sec, folks. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
I'm getting good at this.
That was pretty good. I need to learn so I can do some stuff in the future.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just, like even the last time I went out to groceries, it was again, like every time I go out to groceries, I cut back on what I'm getting. I price shop. Like I look at all the different prices. I try to get the cheapest damn thing possible. And every time I go grocery shopping, it is $100. And it's for food that is not great quality, that barely survives me a week. Now keep in mind, I don't actually eat that much. Like, it could be part of my depression, anxiety, it could be my autism, but also I had surgery years and years ago. Yes, I had a gastric bypass at one point. So my stomach is actually smaller. I eat breakfast, I eat supper, and I snack in between. And it's $100 a week for me to survive for food.
Are you even able to eat out, like go to a restaurant often?
Very rarely. I do, like fast food does tend to be cheaper, and again, it sits differently in my stomach. So like if I go to Arby's and get a beef and cheddar and small curly fry, that is almost 2 meals for me. Like, I split my fast food meals in half.
Now I'm even afraid of asking how much that would be in Canada.
For an Arby's beef and
The
cheddar.
meal you just mentioned was beef and cheddar and curly fries?
Yeah, small curly fries. It's about $9, I believe, right now.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Like, seeing, I remember driving past, like, or being near a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that, and some of the family meals are like $70. Like, it is just gross beyond belief how expensive things are. So, yeah, when I go to fast food, it's usually I'm buying one item off the menu, which translates into a full meal for me, or I'm using coupons to get cheaper meals and things of that sort. And then every now and then I splurge on a pita, a wrap.
Or some Diet Coke, as pointed out, and people don't like that.
Because at least with a pita, you get healthy ingredients on that when you get a wrap type thing. You get like a salad in a wrap type thing. And it's like, the diet of choice that I wanted to do, and I was actually able to maintain for about 3 years, is no factory farmed or processed meat. And that for me it was an ethical choice, because I've seen one video too many about what happens at factory farms, and I can't support that. I can't handle that. Luckily, right. I live near farmers markets where they treat their animals with respect when it comes to butchering and things of that sort, and they won't let the animal suffer. Or kosher and halal meat, the way that they make their meat, I'm good with that. And there's a lot of kosher and halal meat around where I'm at, especially there's a lot of the Syrian immigrants and refugees came to this area and stuff, so we're seeing a lot of more restaurants with halal options, so that was good for me as well. But I'm no longer able to keep up with that diet plan because the food that I would make at home is too expensive.
Well, yeah, I think everything you're saying is like, again, the groceries, for one, you're very bold and brave for sharing that on Twitter, because I'm pretty sure you knew it was a hellscape before you posted that on there. But it's not like you're not making sacrifices in order to make ends meet, but people don't see that. They would rather just get their Twitter fingers rolling and tweet whatever they want in order to oppose. Some people are just, well, I was about to say something very obvious, but they're just there to cause problems. They're trolls and stuff like that. But yeah, that's part of the reason why I rarely tweet anything anymore, because I just, the amount of bad takes about anything is just bad. It's just,
yeah, Twitter is becoming a hellscape for sure, or as I've referred to it, a hostile fart sauna.
Yeah, gross, by the way, but but yeah. So man, yeah, when you tweeted that, I was like, oh gosh, somebody's gonna say something stupid. And I remember thinking about engaging, but I'm like, what is somebody going to do on Twitter? Change their mind?
Yeah, like, they're not there to have their minds changed. Like, I have a couple Twitter friends that I follow, and they just dive into the comments of, like, conservatives and right-wingers, but also liberals who try to do, like, means-tested half measures, capitalist stuff. And they go for it. Like, I'm like, good on you for doing what you're doing, or challenging the settler colonialism and things of that sort. I'm like, good on you for doing that, because not too many people are willing to be targeted like that. And like, I even knew to some extent, getting into politics, presenting as a woman, I'd get targeted, and I'm actually shocked I haven't been.
I have to say, we're gonna have to talk about this one day, because I've told people, like, other Revelation QTYT people like Yasmin and Jessica Burbank, no one ever comments about my body. Like, 99.9% of the time, nobody has anything to say. One time somebody said something about my teeth, but I'm like, I have braces. Like, I'm working on it. What do you want me to do? I'm in the process. It's happening right now. But that was one of the many reasons why I was like, if I were a woman, I could not be a political commentator because it goes beyond views and opinions and perspectives and points of view. Like you're talking about somebody's body. Like I have no, even if you were making a video about your body, like why is somebody commenting on that? And so yeah, no one ever says anything about my physical appearance or presence at all, being a man. And I would imagine women, it's awful. And I've seen it with, again, Jessica and Yasmin and a few others.
Well, I think part of it is they're more, oh, what's the word? Conventionally pretty.
Yeah.
And so people like to tear them down more because of that, because they see them as having like a certain level of privilege that they want to take away from them, being women who have, who are pretty and stuff like that. Because I think that's part of it. Like they also just want to get the attention of these women that they are attracted to, but they don't want to admit that they're attracted to. They're mad that they're attracted to these women that they'll never be able to have type thing. Like there's a lot that goes into it. Because with me, not being in the conventionally pretty category, but some people still, have their own taste and think I look just fine. The most comments I would get about my appearance is saying that I look like Marilyn Manson or like a vampire queen of the damned type thing. And I'm like, hey, unlike Marilyn Manson, I did not have to pay for this complexion. Also, you're saying I'm a vampire? I look like a vampire? That is literally what I dress up for every year is Halloween. That's not exactly an insult. Like, for me, I would read my Rebel HQ comments to feel better about myself. Because generally speaking, the vast majority of them were positive. And the ones that were negative, I don't care. Like, if somebody wants to say that I'm ugly or I don't know how to do my makeup or that I look like Marilyn Manson, I don't care. Like, I really do not care. But I was never really harassed. Like, there would be people who would call me a groomer because of my LGBTQ plus coverage, considering that I'm also non-binary and pansexual. So they would just put groomer. But it would kind of be left at that.
Well,
like, as I say, I have a superpower of going unnoticed online, which benefits me, but also hampers my ability to get out there. But yeah, it is. But on Twitter, it is getting worse, but also the engagement to my tweets are less. But I never really had much engagement to my tweets anyway, because that one about the groceries, that had the most engagement out of all my tweets that I've ever put out.
Yeah, but you got to consider like why that is.
Yeah, and it was for negative reasons.
Yeah.
The most like liked tweets that I've done, there's 2 of them that have kind of gotten over 1,000, and then one got near 4,000. And one was a Photoshop image of Sam Cedar sitting behind the Steven Crowder table saying, Steven Crowder is afraid to debate Sam Cedar, change my mind. It was a very good Photoshop job too. And then the other one that I did back when a lot of the discoveries around residential schools and the graves of children were coming out. And, there was like 215 at the one, but then the numbers just kept on increasing depending on the residential schools. I put together an image of, it was an iceberg, like a cartoon iceberg, with a faded Canadian flag in the background and stuff. And then I put the names of the 3 residential schools that were in the news at that time. But then under, I listed over 100 other residential schools. Like all of the residential schools across Canada. Because, yeah, what we're seeing was just the tip of the iceberg as to what actually happened.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of likes and retweets, and somebody actually looking for the source because she wanted to give me credit type thing. But other than that, my tweets, if I get 10 likes, it's doing good.
I think for the sake of my job, in my mind, once a week, I'll say I should probably engage more and do more stuff on social media in order to give myself A, a presence, and B, more exposure. And by presence, I mean, like, if people want to have better access to me, then it gives them that available option. But No, no, no.
Yeah, like I'm
But
on
then it
Twitter.
becomes a matter of like giving yourself access to like people who are. I'm just, some people are just dumb. Like
Mhm.
some people are just not smart people, and like I don't want to. I don't want to engage with someone who is just talking about a subject simply because they can. You have like no bearing or basis to be able to talk about that. Your take is whack. Why are people doing that? So they do find me in my comment section though, so there's that. So I'm like, that's enough. Like I got this comment section and comment sections other places. I'm good right here. I don't want anywhere else. So like, if you wanted to reach out to me on Twitter, be sure to do that. Like that's fine. But
Yeah, like I fall into the category if you tag me in a tweet or you try to comment because now people can't DM you unless you're mutuals.
yeah,
Generally speaking, I will probably see it because I don't get that much attention on Twitter. But some of the people that I try to connect to, I know that I'm just getting lost in the noise because they're constantly getting hundreds of mentions a day and stuff of that sort. So it's hard for me to kind of reach out to other content creators to get noticed and stuff. And like, I'm on Twitter all the time because, like, for me, when I started Twitter, that changed my life in a very positive way. Like,
mm,
being a person with disabilities, I didn't have much of a social life. And just the exposure it gave me to other people, other ways of thinking, that from that I was able to then clue into my autism, to being non-binary, because I saw other people talking about stories that were so similar to mine. It was like they were just pulling it out of my life
right.
and all that sort of stuff. So I was able to, like, my world opened up, meeting Letterhack on Twitter and his little challenge that led to me rediscovering my talent for art. Having a moment like that in your life where you thought you lost something like that, only to find that you still have it, what that does to your soul, like just that moment in a person's life, that doesn't happen too often. Like just finding out that I could still draw
Yeah.
was just beyond belief amazing. And
Shout
so,
out to the letter hack, by the way.
yeah. So, for me, joining Twitter was generally speaking a positive, and then I was able to find news stories, but then I could get better opinions on things and stuff. Because there's a question that Letterhack will always ask people when they go on his show. So I'm going to tell people now, because I'm not on his show, like if there's one person that can change your mind on issues. And for me, it's not a person, it's Indigenous peoples in
Mm,
general. Because I'm very still settler brained. Like there's still a lot of stuff that I just don't see, I don't understand until they actually say something, because it's hard to see out of your bubble when all it does is reflect you back, type thing. And so my eyes have been opened, and now I'm a little bit more skeptical about things. Now I look into things more. I have a better understanding of, like, if I see a news article, there was one news article about people getting outraged, Indigenous peoples, First Nation people getting outraged that there was a picture of a hair salon they had for promotion where he had a couple girls with extensions held up in front of the statue of the founder of Halifax, and they were outraged. And then a lot of the white people in the area, it's like, oh, they were just overreacting, blah blah blah. But I actually read into it and I'm like, oh my god, like the founder of Halifax actually put a bounty on the scalps of Indigenous peoples, and
wow.
here they are holding up extensions in front of the statue. Now, the person who owned the hair salon was completely unaware of the correlation. But that's also part of the problem in Canada, is we don't teach these histories.
Mm,
So the owner of the salon was actually kind of horrified about that. But it's like, now when I go on Twitter, it's a lot more depressing because, like, what's happening in Israel and Palestine, I can't get a good read as to what's happening because I can't trust anything I see.
correct.
And I'm getting conflicting stories about the same person, or that this happened to her, but this. And then you see people saying, well, that's deserved, or this is deserved. And it's like, none of that is deserved on either side. Like, the nuance is gone. And then you still have the blue checks hidden or unhidden blue checks at the top of the replies. And it wasn't until the blue checks became a thing that,
Yep.
and I started to block them, that I realized how horrible Twitter was. Because often the responses I would see were people who I follow and stuff, so they'd be at the top of my feed and replies, who are people who are generally speaking good people. So I was getting good replies and answers and stuff. Just to see all these other blue checks, I'm like, these are, wow. Like, it just blew my mind how horrible they are. Because again, I don't get targeted per se, so I don't see this directed towards me. I don't see them in my feeds because my feed is, with people that I like and stuff. So it's just, it blows my mind. And then just, again, so many people just okay with the violence, like okay with police brutality, okay with war, depending on who's being slaughtered and all that sort of stuff. I don't know what happened to the compassion in people in this world.
I will say Twitter has always been like bad.
Oh yeah.
There are pockets of good and stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, I rely on Twitter a lot for my work with TYT and my personal work. But when you brought up the blue checks, I was like, yeah, that's right. Because I remember after that became a thing, realizing that their tweets or their content may get a lot of views, but not likes and engagement because the stuff sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And look, my tweets aren't, I mean, I don't do so anymore, but it's not like my tweets are dope, but I know a good one when I see one. I know when something's funny or witty or something like that. And some of these blue checks aren't. They're none of that. And we see that. And so, yeah, that was when I was like, yeah, I got to be done because, like, I'm not even competing against people who know what they're doing. I'm competing against, to some degree, I don't even say an algorithm, but the almighty hand of someone who wants to inflate the views of people who worship him. So
Well,
I was like, yeah, I'm good. But I do want to say, Sandee, because you did bring up your art. When you launched your website, I did order some hidden name art the first day, and it just occurred to me. I was like, wait, where's the art? But we'll talk about that. But
that's a flaw within the contact box doesn't work.
Okay.
My mom let me know
everybody-
2 weeks after the fact because she said that she bought a print from me, like a photograph. But I was talking to her on the phone, and then she's like, oh, so I just figured you didn't want to sell to me. And I'm like, why would you think that? Like, I wouldn't want to sell to you. And then we found out, so then I went back to the woman who was helping me build it. And so part of the problem was when we tested it, the test went through, but as soon as it went live, nothing was going through. And so right now there's a notice on there that I'm sure people aren't necessarily reading, saying, do not use the contact box. It does not work. She hasn't been able to figure out the bugs because I have this weird thing about technology. If there's a bug that can't be fixed or just weird things happening with technology, they happen around me. So, I've put in the contact area to just directly email me instead because there's no way for me to know how many people have tried to, and it's kind of frustrating.
Okay.
I've asked
Well,
her,
I didn't want-
actually, I asked her to just outright remove it. I don't know if she has right now. If she hasn't yet, then I'll just say, just remove the freaking contact box because people don't necessarily read what's right above it. But it wasn't until 2 weeks after the fact that I launched it that I even realized it was an issue.
I will say that those who are watching us right now probably already know this, but you make really cool hidden name art, and I want some. So That's what this is about.
Okay.
For my kids. I'll give you the details later.
Yeah,
for
we can
for my
figure that
kids.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone go check out my website. There we go. SandeeLovas.com. Do not use the contact box if you're interested in buying art. Just email sandeelovas@gmail. So I've been running into the problem. sandeelovas@gmail is for my art. If you want to contact me about my channel, it's LeftoftheBox@gmail. I'm trying to keep those separated just so I don't get too much in one. I almost never get any emails to my Left of the Box stuff, But now some people have started contacting me about Left of the Box in my Sandee Lovas Gmail account.
Hmm. I have a few minutes left. I did want to bring up a video of mine that just dropped yesterday. Man, my life is just odd. About safe spaces that I really enjoyed making.
Oh, I just watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to make stuff that I at least found funny. But just the weird idea that safe spaces are okay for some other people, but not others, and like people may not recognize that they are engaged in or within a safe space themselves, and that's stupid. All of that is stupid. So go and watch that video if you have not, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I checked it out. I gave it a like. Be sure to give it a like, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how long have we even been talking. What time is it? Oh, okay, we've been talking for a while.
It's all good. I do want to say, just to give, because it's you, Sandee, and for the people watching, I will say that there is a video coming in a few weeks, talking about my departure from Rebel HQ. So be on the lookout for that. I haven't really said it out loud to a bunch of people, but a few people. And like I said, since it's you, Sandee, I will say it to you. Look out for that video. It's going to be, I think in a general sense, at least for how I have it in my mind today, where I'm in a really good place, it's going to be about content creation overall, like in a general sense, about creating content for yourself, stuff that you like on your own platform, versus with someone else who may distribute it and publish it and everything like that. So look for that in a couple of weeks. I haven't decided on exactly when I'm going to do that. I'm in a good headspace. I have accepted it like months ago because I saw it coming. And Sandee, sadly enough, you know what that process is like.
Well, let's see.
And so I saw it coming a long time ago. And so basically, be on the lookout for that. That will be coming soon. I'm actually working on it kind of right now.
Well, let's see if I can bring in a friendly face. He popped in briefly. Let's see. Abernathy, come here. Come here. See if my cat will join me. Abernathy, come here. There you are. Come here. Come here, sweetie. People like to see you. You're a very pretty kitty. Come here. He's just down there. Come here.
Oh, hi. I would get a Delilah Mercury, my cat, but she doesn't like to be picked up or held. So.
Well, he does, just not right now.
Yeah.
Okay, down you go. Say hi. Yeah, I'm still debating about making a video about my experiences at Rebel HQ. I'm not against doing it. I don't want to do it unless there's a point to it, you know?
Yeah. And, so that's why I was cluing you in on like some of the aspects of Rebel HQ and TYC, like some of the analytics and the numbers behind it, the decisions being made as far as like what my content does and does not look like. And I was told to do a few things that I definitely disagreed with, and it didn't help. And so, starting in May earlier this year, my numbers took a dive, like off a cliff. And so I'm giving your audience a little clue as to what I'm going to talk about. But my views took a dive in May, and they weren't necessarily able to explain why, which is a problem in and of itself, because there's a lot to that. Like, well, I'm sure there's variance in views with everybody. Sure, I'm not going to get the same amount of views every month, but why did mine in particular take such a dive? Because when I asked them if anybody else had gone through that, they said no. Now, I'm not going to say that this person's name, but someone else is in a similar predicament that I'm in right now. Hopefully they can turn it around. So I will say it's not me. And what that person said to me is something I'm going to say about myself. And hopefully, Sandee, I said this to you. This is no indication of my gifts, abilities, and talents. Like what happened with Rebel HQ maybe I'm not jiving well with their audience, or maybe my content no longer suits what they do, I'm still dope. I still make dope stuff. So if anybody, I'm looking for the chat. I don't want anybody to feel bad for anything like that. No, my stuff is dope.
Well, for me, the best thing I got from Rebel HQ was meeting you.
I appreciate that. Because I will say this, and just give a little background. Not that I'm blaming anyone else, but, and Sandee, you know this as well. We don't publish our videos on YouTube and Facebook. Like, people will take care of the thumbnail and the title, which is a very difficult job that I would not want. I don't even want to do it for my own channel. Yeah, it's not an indictment on how good or bad I am. Hi, other cat. Yeah, my stuff is dope, and not that they would try to tell me any different, but come on now. So again, that video is going to come soon. I'm trying to gather. Sandee, you told your story. Some other people who went to something similar have told their story, but there are some bigger names, bigger than you and I, who have gone through something similar and they have not told their story. So I want to include them. Just going through some ideas in my mind about like how to go about this, because
with things that I learned after the fact, or just things that have happened after the fact, don't eat this one too. Sorry, I lost a cable to my mic because one of these guys ate through it. Check out my wish list to help me replace it. Linked below. With some of the things that happened after the fact, I'm actually kind of now unsure as to how I don't think I was given the help I was needed on purpose. Type thing.
Shoot. See, I don't want to give too, because look, some of y'all better watch this video that I'm going to make, like it's the first time y'all hearing this, but when things went down this time, they gave me 4 specific instructions. They told me, because at the time I was making 7-8 videos a week. They said, oh, well, make less videos in order to get to a views per video threshold that they find suitable, a break-even point, they told me. That didn't work. They told me to focus on Trump supporter videos. That didn't work. And I told them that wasn't going to work. I'm like, that's not going to work. They told me to take every pitch from my producer, and I knew that wasn't going to work, because I'm like, I'm about to get into something weird right quick, but like, let's say 5 out of 10 of my videos that the producer pitched work, but 3 out of 5 of mine that I pitched work. Sure, okay, so they got 5, I got 3, but it's because I took more of theirs. So if we were doing a percentage, theirs was 50%, mine was 60, but they didn't see it that way. Yeah, so anyway, do less videos, Trump supporter videos, pitches from the producer. Oh shoot, and what was the 4th one? The 4th one was it wasn't make shorter. It was, I forgot, I didn't even remember what it was, but it was 4 ideas and none of them worked, because of course they didn't work. That's not what was wrong with my views. My views didn't come down to these things here. Like, it wasn't, oh, I don't know how I forgot this one. So they had me doing this this video format where you play a quick clip for 20 seconds, and then you say like a 1-sentence thing, then go back to a clip, and then you say a 1-sentence thing, go back to another clip. And they had me do that for like every video for 3 months. And so that took away my dynamics as an individual. It took away like what made me dynamic as a content creator, what made Jeff. And so like for me, I'm like, dang, like I got to do that for every video. I can see if some videos fit that format, sure, but they had me do that for every video. And look, congrats to everybody who that channel works for. I got a lot of encouragement. I'm just, David Schuster was dope, man. Mm-hmm. He always reached out to me to encourage me and everything. And oh no, not the cat.
Trying to eat the cord again. We got a super chat in while we were talking about this from Controvert Mama. I think I said that right. Saying, I definitely want more info about you guys in TYT. So thank you for the $2 for that. And yeah, like I said, I'm definitely more open about talking about it. I don't want to do it for the sake of trying to tear TYT down or something. Like maybe point out some flaws in what they're doing recently, maybe, you know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate TYT, Rebel HQ. And actually, I did see a question. What did it say? Not to derail, but can the chat explain to me the relationship between TYT and Rebel HQ? I got you, Philip Augusta. We'll just go with that. I'll get to that in a second. No, I'm not. Yeah, my thing isn't to tear down Rebel HQ or TYT either. Again, mine's just going to be more towards the content creation part, as in me creating for myself and for someone else. And like, don't let that tear you down as if stuff doesn't work. If I can think of it in terms of like a hockey team, someone could be a great forward or a great defenseman or defensive person on a team that does not work for them, and then goes to another team and does the exact same thing, and it's all good. So that's my perspective on the Rebel HQ thing. I wish them well. I wish all their other content creators, I hope they can avoid what I'm going through. At the same time, though, I am pretty mad that when it came down to it, they just wouldn't come out and say, hey, I don't think we're marketing your videos right. I don't think we're publishing your videos that shows you in your best light, my dude. So I will say that. But if I can explain the TYT thing, TYT, if it was an umbrella, there's a bunch of shows under the umbrella. So you got your live shows like Indisputable. The Watch List was a show, but it's no longer a show. And the Damage Report. So those are under the umbrella of TYT, live shows. But then you have like commentary channels like Rebel HQ, and The Breakdown were another one. So umbrella channels under here. Did I?
Yeah.
Philip Augusta, did I get that? Yes.
Yeah. So there's the live shows, but then so Rebel HQ was for YouTube, so we weren't seen on the main channel. Just like they have, I don't know if they still have it, but they had shows that were specifically on Twitch and only on Twitch.
Right. Yeah, they still have some, I think, but I don't know which ones are there. The only ones I really kind of paid attention to was Benny's before she was gone. Yeah.
But then the YouTube channels like Rebel HQ, they are TYT stuff. They are channels that belong to them. Same with like TYT Sports that often did videos that were almost no different than the ones at Rebel HQ.
I know. Some of them weren't even like, that's not even, are you even talking about sports?
A lot of the ones I saw had nothing to do with sports.
Yeah, I remember when I first got them and I'm like, what? But anyway, yeah, like that's just going to be a part of it. Again, Sandee, I wanted to say this. If I hadn't said it to you before, I apologize. What happened with you at Rebel HQ was no indictment on your gifts, skills, and abilities, and the same thing with me. Sometimes things don't work out. But I got to say, like, yeah, the stuff that they told me I needed to do was crap. It was garbage. Throw that away.
Yeah.
And it did not help me whatsoever. And so you and I were in something called the YouTube Partner Program. But after a while, it didn't really necessarily feel like a partnership because after a while, it wasn't benefiting me whatsoever. Now, when things were, if I can make another sports analogy, when you're winning and things are good, it irons over everything. But when things go bad, that's when you see the wrinkles, and you're going to disagree about how to get those out. And that's what it'd be like. So again, I wanted to reveal that to your audience because it's you, and you know the people here seem to be nice, and we share an audience as a matter of fact. But,
I have a wonderful chat. Lots of wonderful people. I appreciate them so much. A lot of crossover with the other lefty channels too, and they're good motivation to keep going. They're very positive.
So that will be coming. Like that's going to be. I usually script 99% of my videos. I might just go off the top because it's been something my family has been helping me deal with for a few months now because I've already come to terms with it. Like it's even if like my next I might record some videos tonight, maybe it's just tomorrow. Even if my next one blows up and they're like, oh well, I think you're good for a couple weeks, I still want to be done. I still want to be like it's run its course. We are where we need to be. So I am trying to figure out my next spot. That's been difficult. We'll see though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I don't want to keep you much longer. Thank you so much for coming on with me. It's been great actually talking with you, with other people watching.
I learned a lot about Canada today.
Yeah. What was the capital of Canada?
Was it Ottawa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there with some of you guys soon.
I retain information from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll chat again shortly.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you everyone for coming out. I've been learning more about my channel too. I now know where I can go to see the super chats at the end, so I won't miss any. So thank you to the people who have given me super chats. As you saw, it was great chatting with Jeff. This was the first time I think we've actually chatted in person on stream, so that was nice. And yeah, I have some videos on the go. I keep on saying that, and then ADHD can really get in the way of making videos sometimes. Like Jeff, most of my videos that I do that are not live streamed are scripted. And there's one that I've been meaning to do about the Million March for Children. That was just a horrid thing. But I was involved with a community project over this past week. So now that's done, I can focus. So before I go and leave all you lovely people, let's see if there's anything in the chat for me to say. Yes, you got little guest appearances from Lanier and Abernathy. So, yeah, just a lot of thank yous, and you guys are great. I love you guys. Betty Veronica, my cat is looking for where that meow came from. Yeah, I have a sequence of meows that will be in the little end tag here. If the audio is playing, Abernathy will go berserk. Like, he will just start diving around, like trying to run into the speakers, like wondering where that's from. Speaking of, this one is Lanier. So yeah, I should have a video out hopefully by the end of this week about the Million March for Children. There's a couple other videos that I've been meaning to work on, and I'm hoping to just try to get more live streams done and get better at this. But thank you so much for everyone. If you can, please support my channel by becoming a patron. Or you can... stop eating these! There you go. You can help me by buying a new cord for my Yeti mic. It's on my wish list. Links are in the description box below. Like, subscribe, share. All of that helps if you don't have the money to help, which I totally understand as somebody who also lives with poverty and wish that I could actually support others. Thank you so much to the people who have... Stop eating this. Sorry, he's starting to get into his playful mood. To the people, so thank you so much to the people who have become patrons, who have purchased things off my wish list, the super chats, donations towards Frodo's vet bill. I'm still just about $300 shy of paying off his entire vet bill, and Frodo is still doing well. He's still eating, he's still getting back to his normal self, so I'm really starting to think that whatever he had, he's overcome it, which just, is the best thing in the world for me right now. So, with all that, I will see all you guys soon. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandee, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.